Hi, my name is Josh, and this is my story. I was born into a loving family up in the beautiful Dulles to St. Marie, Ontario. I've been going to church my whole life. Family moved down here when I was around 5, and still kept going to church. Everything was just about usual, normal, nothing exciting really happened. And that just is kind of all that it is until about high school. Going to church my whole life, I never really understood what it meant. I never grasped the concept of a relationship with Christ or what any of that would look like or even how it worked. Church was pretty much just another class for me. Like, I would go there, I would learn stuff, and then I'd go home. So for me, it wasn't any different than school, and I never really looked at it as anything different. And then about halfway through grade 9, a good friend of mine that I'd grown up with and just kind of always looked up to because he was a year older than me, and he committed suicide and took his own life. And for me, still trying to figure out what life was and how to handle things, I couldn't deal with it. I didn't know how to wrap my mind around why somebody would do that. So it was basically from then on that I started dealing with depression and just not really finding much hope in anything. I tried basically everything to find joy again and just to find some meaning in whatever level or sense that I could. I started getting into all sorts of unhealthy relationships, whether it was with girls or just guys I knew I shouldn't be hanging out with. I don't think there was a span of time longer than a month or two that I would go without having a girlfriend. I just always felt I needed one, just to have that person there to love me, and I thought that that love could make me happy, and that didn't work, never worked, kept trying anyway. Going back into school in grade 10 and realizing I was stuck in the same routine as I was in grade 9, just trying to find something and didn't know what it was. So I started hanging out with the wrong crowd and started drinking a lot, and I'd go out on the weekends and get drunk with some friends, but I was still that good kid that went to church every Sunday and went to youth group and la-di-da, but still didn't have Christ or knew what it meant to have Christ, and so I was still lost. So I went from getting drunk and that not doing anything, still in relationships with girls all the time, still not finding any meaning there. And I think it was around the end of grade 10 when I started smoking marijuana and just started to get high all the time, just to try to, I don't even think I was looking for happiness anymore. I was just trying to find a way to not be sad, because now not only was I doing all this, I was lying to my parents, I was still going to church but lying to everybody there. I was leading the biggest double life that I could think of, and things weren't easy. It wasn't too long after I started doing that that I started just stooping to all sorts of lows to try to find a way out, and resorted to self-harm for a while. There was a few months where I started cutting, and still nothing came of any of it. And so just piling on all of these awful habits that they turned into just to try to be happy again. There was one night, and I remember almost every second of that night vividly, when I contemplated suicide myself and just not seeing any reason to live because I couldn't find hope. It was from then that I kind of realized that, what am I doing? Like, there's got to be something that I've missed. There's got to be something more out there that I've overlooked, or just there's got to be something. And I knew I hadn't found it yet. and so why give up? 2 weeks after I started going out to this new youth group, there was a retreat that they went on. Didn't have anything else going on that weekend, so I figured why not. Went on this retreat, and God changed my life. Everything that I'd learned my entire life growing up in the church just made sense all of a sudden. And it was like God just took me and said, here's what you know, and here's who I am, and here's how they go together. And just being with all these new people and just seeing the love that they had for each other, and even for me as a stranger coming in, and the messed up stranger that I was, seeing their love and kind of practically how they lived out their faith and what it meant to them made me kind of relook at what I was doing in church this whole time. So the Saturday night of the retreat, I spent easily an hour and a half after the sermon just crying and praying. I was just praying by myself, just kind of talking to God and repenting of where I was at. That night, that Saturday night, February 4th, was the first time that I felt joy since grade 9. Sure, there's been the rough patches here and there, but it's nothing that God hasn't brought me through or won't bring me through. And seeing where He's brought me now it's just beautiful. I know as a fact that there's nothing that I could have done on my own, because I tried everything that I thought that I could do on my own, and none of it worked. Only surrendering to Christ and giving Him my life. Before Christ, I had nothing. I had depression, and it was dark. But now with Christ, I have joy to its fullest, and I have life, and I have love that I can share.